Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I'm going to talk about the second trailer that came out for The Matrix Resurrections. If you haven't seen it already, I'll include a link to it in the description down below. But obviously, some interesting thoughts kind of floated through my head just because of seeing the trailer, because it presents a lot of interesting things. Once again, I brought this up when the previous trailer came out. I have not seen the original trilogy in like forever, so I'm not going to remember the ins and outs of how like a lot of stuff works to some extent. I feel like some of the like basic gist of certain things, but there's probably certain things I'm going to talk about that probably like, oh, there's already an answer to it to some extent. But the thing I found so interesting about this trailer is the conversation about loops, that everything and everyone is trapped in this loop. And my question has always kind of been like, well, even when we kind of saw it in the first trailer of like, right, there are similar things, like Neo is going down the same path. Is it because like the Matrix, it's almost like a reboot, you know, both literally and figuratively. Literally in the sense of it being a movie, but also in the figurative sense of like the Matrix itself has kind of rebooted, and you know, it's keeping people trapped in this state of deja vu, because that was always a thing in the first one of like, yeah, like that's always you have to watch out for in the Matrix is deja vu, because that means they're, you know, it's kind of a literal glitch in the Matrix. I interpreted that initially like, is this meant to trap a lot of people in this narrative, like Neo and Trinity? Obviously the point is to keep them from remembering who they were, but even there's a line later on that's like, this isn't the story we thought it was. So part of me wonders, like, I would assume the original trilogy of like Neo's story, everything that went down in the 3 Matrix movies before, is kind of legend, and so like these newer characters are like, oh, we've grown up knowing the stories, so the Matrix should be like rehashing that, but it's not. Things are different, or at the very least that, or maybe it's implying that things are not what they seem to be. Maybe that's the more direct comparison, because there is the situation of like, well, because this is based on like Morpheus dying in the MMO like Matrix game, and then like, but we have like Yahya Abdul-Mateen playing like potentially a younger Morpheus, but then we also have like our quote-unquote new Agent Smith, or at least there's a character who's being paralleled to Agent Smith, that it's like, did the Matrix need to, like, because I think it is that conversation of there is a balance to everything. Like, this system is created in a way to have its own checks and balances. If there is a Neo, there has to be an Agent Smith. And so, but why does he look different? Is it because the Matrix isn't trying to make the same mistake of like, yeah, Smith went off and did his own thing and we can't let that happen again? Or could it just be like, that was meant to happen? It is just that conversation of just like how far down the rabbit hole of like, how meta they're going to make this in so many regards. There was even this line from what I'm believing is like the Oracle's new form now, saying that Neo's most important choice won't even be his own or something like that, which I'm wondering, is that supposed to be like, oh, like he's put down this path that other people have laid out for him? I wonder, is it supposed to be indicative in that regard, or is it supposed to be indicative of he's already gone down this route before, like who he was before is Neo, because maybe like this Neo is considered like Neo 2.0. It's like, I have the memory, I eventually get the memories back of who I was before, but at the end of the day, I'm kind of a new me. Like, that's why I'm saying like 2.0. So that's why I'm wondering, could it be a case of he's kind of following the breadcrumb, or rather the path and trail that was laid out before him because of the previous Neo? So like, you're more so about the previous Neo's choices and not necessarily your own. Once again, I could be easily overthinking that. Or is it just supposed to be indicative of like, someone else has forged this path for him, the Matrix has forged this path for him, and that there's no getting off it because like the choices he's make aren't his own? Or is it just supposed to be like someone else's choices? Is it supposed to be like Trinity's choices? Is that what I'm curious about, like what they meant by that? Which obviously we get like a lot more with Neo and Trinity. Well, I mean, we got quite a bit last trailer, but this trailer we got even more. And I love that line of her being like, I remember this from my dream, but this is where the dream ended. Because for her, it's like, I don't know what to expect beyond this, because I guess like she's more so referencing like her dreams are probably the, like either it is these exact moments or it's the original that, you know, now is being kind of rebooted and kind of recast in a certain light, in a certain way. Things are the same yet different. So maybe she's talking in that case of like she's remembering her original story from the original movies, and when we get to this point and it's like the point where she died in 3. That balance, you know, was always a thing, you know, at least in the beginning, you know, with the Matrix. In the first one, you're never sure what's real and what wasn't, and now it is, you're kind of back to that a little bit again, where you're just like, what's the dream and what's real, you know? Especially because Neo, because we do see him outside in the Matrix in quite a few shots, so it showcases like he's awake at certain points and knows what's what, but I think she's still in that in between, because it's like, right, if I wake you up, like, will I know where you are? Because, you know, I mean, how are they, like, did they actually die, or were they plugged back in just in time to be saved? Like, what's going, once again, these are questions that are going to be answered when the movie comes out, but it's just, you know, your mind starts wondering about things of like, oh, could that mean this? What could that mean in the grand scheme of things? I do think it is so interesting that Neo fighting Trinity is such an important thing, because, like, you know, like I said, Morpheus, Yahya Abdul-Mateen's character, I keep saying that because, like, I guess he's supposed to be a young Morpheus, whatever the case may be. He's like, oh, if you want Trinity, you need to fight for her, because I guess, like, their connection has always been so important, so maybe the Matrix is doing everything it can to keep them apart, you know? I made the comparison. I might have brought this up last time, I think I did, but like the whole comparison of like Once Upon a Time. If you've seen the show Once Upon a Time, you know what I mean by like the evil queen's curse and what that did. That basically people lived these lives around the people they loved, but they just didn't remember, and they were stuck in this perpetually being like kept away from each other, even though you're so close. Like, I think that's an element that's resonating. Both trailers kind of showcase and resonate that very element. I'm curious, Neo and Trinity finding their way to each other, like both fully remembering and being reunited. When we see that moment when they touch hands, like, what does that signify? Does that signify like everyone waking up, like her waking up, or like break the Matrix and wake multiple people up at once? There is a line from, I always forget the character's name. Is it Naomi or Niobe? Jada Pinkett Smith's character. We see her now older, but I love that line of the Matrix constantly pumps your ears full of a certain noise, and that same noise is something else makes that same sound, and that's the sound of war. I thought that was such an interesting line, because at the end of the day, this is, you know, a war, man versus machine, you know, a conversation of fighting for what's real versus fighting for what is nothing more than a dream and fantasy. Like, I'm sure there's so much to this, like, that context and elements that aren't really hitting me just because I haven't seen the movies in so long. I've been meaning to, like, watch them. I definitely need to rewatch all three prior to watching this. I mean, obviously it's only a couple weeks away, so I need to kind of jump on that. Obviously, these are some of the things going through my head. I'd love to get to know your thoughts in the comments down below. What's the things you want to see from the movie? What are some things you expect to see? Do you agree with anything that I've brought up? Do you completely disagree? Just what are your thoughts in general about the trailer? Your own theories about the movie? Let me know. But really, that's all I want to talk about. So next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.